Hey viewers, welcome back to the e-learning platform of the GS College of Commerce, Wardha. I am Professor Humaira Kazi with the subject that is monetary economics. Okay, so today we are going to deal with the commercial banking. In the earlier videos, we had covered the different aspects related with the commercial banks, and these different aspects were the meaning and definitions of the commercial banks, similarly the different types of the commercial types of the banks, then we had seen the functions of the commercial banks. Simultaneously, we had seen and covered the important aspect of the commercial bank, that is the credit creation. Okay, so in the credit creation process, we had covered the two aspects, that is the credit creation by a single bank and the credit creation by the multiple banks. Okay, now today we are dealing with this chapter, the one of the important aspect, that is the investment policy of the commercial bank, or to which we can say the principles which are to be followed for the investment policy of the commercial banks. Okay, so when we are talking about the investment policy of the commercial bank, what does it mean? It means that the investments which are made by the commercial banks. Okay, so investments which are made by the commercial banks are basically the money which is utilized by the commercial banks of the public. Okay, it is basically the public money which the bank invest. So while dealing with the public money, it is very important for the bank that it should generate a certain amount of the surplus. Okay, and that it should generate a certain amount of surplus, as well as the bank should keep the sufficient reserves with it. Okay, so it is really very necessary on the part of the bank that the money of the public should be effectively invested in the different areas. Basically, this investment is in the form of the loans which are granted by the commercial banks. Okay, and we all know that the banks gives the interest on the deposits of the public. Okay, and the bank takes the interest on the loans which are granted by the bank to the business houses. Okay, and there is actually the difference of these two interests is actually the income of the bank. Okay, and this income of the bank actually maintains the bank's existence. So while adopting the investment policy, there are the certain fundamental principles which are to be followed by the banks. These are the liquidity, solvency, profitability, diversification, flexibility, and productivity. As far as the earlier three principles are concerned, that is the liquidity, solvency, and profitability, these are the most important principle or fundamental principles. And the diversification, flexibility, and productivity, these are the secondary principles. Okay, so let's see what are the different principles of the investment policy of commercial banks. Okay, so the first one over there is the principle of liquidity. Okay, liquidity means what? The liquidity means the ability of the bank to produce the cash on demand. So whenever an individual depositor is approaching the bank for cash withdrawal of the money which he had deposited, the bank should be able to meet the requirement of the depositor. Okay, uh, and these is possible via the liquidity. Okay, so let's see what the definition says about the liquidity. Liquidity is the word that the banker can use to describe the ability to satisfy demand for cash in exchange for the deposit. Okay, So, as I said earlier, when an individual is approaching the bank for the money against his deposit, the bank should be able to fulfill it. Okay, so there are the certain factors which affect the liquidity of the bank. Okay, these factors are actually the requisite cash reserve. We all know that the bank has to maintain minimum cash reserves. These minimum cash reserves are to be maintained by the bank under the instructions of the central bank. So if the minimum reserve is high, the bank have to keep the greater liquidity. On the other hand, if the minimum reserve is low, the banks will have the lesser liquidity. The second aspect is the banking habit. So the banking habits of the people basically greatly influence the liquidity requirement of the bank. So if the people have the developed banking habits, what is the developed banking habits? That is the people usually make or receive payments through the checks, then the use of cash in transaction is reduced, and the bank needs to keep the smaller amount of liquid cash. On the other hand, if the banking habits are less developed, then the banks have to keep the greater amount of liquidity. The third aspect is that the structure of the banking, there basically there are the unit banking as well as the branch banking. So in case banking system is on the unit banking, then the higher liquidity is required because of the small scale operation of each independent bank. Or on the branch banking system, the banks can function with less cash reserves, because in case of need the cash can be transferred from one branch to the other. Okay, so the third factors which influence the liquidity is the nature of the economy. So the nature of the economy, if the economy is developed or underdeveloped. Okay, so in the developed economy, the liquidity requirement is less. Why so? Because the people have the developed banking habits and they depend more on the check system for the payment. On the other hand, in the underdeveloped economy, basically transactions are generally conducted on through the money, and there is a greater need of the liquidity. The next aspect is the nature of the business conditions. Okay, nature of the business conditions, that is the boom situation in the market as well as the depression. Okay, so during depression business is dull and the businessmen do not borrow because of the general pessimism. Therefore the greater amount of cash is left with the bank, and in the boom or inflation business flourishes and a small proportion of cash is sufficient to support the larger deposits. Okay, so basically the nature of business conditions also has the effect on the liquidity requirement. The next aspect is the type of the depositors. Type of the depositors, which are the depositors type, that is the individual depositor or an individual depositor or the business house. So if the banks have the more customers, like the business customers who are basically the business houses or the corporations, then there is the huge requirement of the liquidity, because the business needs are more. On the other hand, if the customers, basically the depositors, are the individuals and are of personal nature, the bank can operate with the less liquid cash, because the demand behavior of these depositors is fairly stable and the withdrawals are normally offset by the new deposits. Okay, the next one is there, the nature of the money market. Okay, so that aspect of the money market we had covered in the third semester. Okay, so nature of the money market. So condition of the money market to determines the cash requirement of the bank. In a developed money market, the bank can function with lesser cash in hand because they can easily buy and sell the short term securities in the money market. But in a less developed or underdeveloped money market, banks have to keep greater liquidity because of the less scope of buying and selling of securities in the money market. After that, the next aspect is the seasonal requirement. Okay, these seasonal requirements are basically the festival season. Similarly, in India scenario, the agriculture, which is the time, which is in agriculture basically the sowing requirement and harvesting season. These two seasons, festivals as well as the harvesting seasons, require the more money. Okay, so in this season the requirement of the customers in terms of cash is more. So during these season the banks are required to keep the large amount of the cash to meet the increased demand of the people. So these are the aspect which we had covered under the liquidity. Now the next important principle is the principle of the solvency. Okay, solvency. Solvency is what basically it is the relationship of the banks in its liability relationship of the banks liabilities as well as assets. Okay, if the solvency can also be called the security or the safety. Okay, so if the assets of the bank are equal to or greater than the liabilities, the bank is solvent. Okay, and this solvency is very important on the part of the bank. it This solvency actually creates the amount of trust on the banking system by the public. Okay, so what the definition of the solvency is. So what the mayor says about the solvency: a bank is solvent if the amount of its assets exceeds the amount of its liability to all the claimants. Okay, so if the bank's assets are more than the liabilities, the bank is called the solvent, as the mayor says. Okay, so what are the factors? So solvency as well as insolvency. Okay, the insolvency is just the opposite of the solvency. So what are the factors which are responsible for the insolvency? Okay, the basically these factors are the misappropriation or the loss of assets. Misappropriation or the loss of assets. See, there are the dishonest employees also in the bank. So these dishonest employees can misappropriate the funds of the banks, and this misappropriation of the funds can cause the great loss to the banks, as you can see the case of the Nirav Modi. So this is actually what the misappropriation of the funds by the by the by the dishonest employees of the bank, and as a result the bank suffers the loss. Similarly, there may be the possibility of the robbery, big robbery. Okay, and because of the bank robberies there is also the loss of funds. Similarly, the risk of defaults. The second point of the insolvency is the risk of default. Risk of default basically say the borrowers of the banks are not able to repay their loans then there is a problem of the default. Okay, and these default problems actually creates the problem of the non-performing assets, NPA, on the part of the bank, and these again creates the problem of the assets, okay, a loss of funds on the part of the bank. Loss of funds or loss of funds or basically on the part of the bank. So there is again the problem of insolvency which can be developed because of the default risk also. The next one is there changes in the interest rates. Okay, this is especially in terms of the long term loans which are granted to the individuals or the business houses. Okay, and the securities, basically the banks grant the loan as against the security. These securities are the assets which are mortgaged by the loanee. Okay, so these assets in long terms, the interest rates actually have the interest rates on the interest rate, there is actually the effects. Okay, so these changes in the rate of interest also cause the insolvency of the bank in terms of the assets. Okay, so the solvency of the bank. After that, the next principle is the principle of profitability. Basically the banking business is actually the business of profit. Okay, any bank is every bank actually works on the profit objective. Okay, so bank should have the sufficient profit to meet the expenses running expenses of the banking business, as well as there should be the surplus fund, okay, which the bank can use for giving the dividend to its shareholders. Okay, so the profitability can be ensured when the bank is effectively giving the loans and having the interest rates. Okay, and doing the business of the banking by having the consideration of the solvency. That is, there should not be the loans should not be granted to such people where there may be the problem of the default as defaults. Okay, so the profitability is actually the sufficient income to meet the cost of running the bank, to make payment of interest on deposits, and to yield reasonable return for the owners. Okay, so profitability. After that, there are the other secondary functions, secondary principles. These secondary principles are the principle of diversification, the principle of flexibility, and the principle of productivity. So diversification principle says that the bank should divert its resources in the form of giving the loans to the different sectors, not giving the loans to the one sector only. Okay, the loan should be granted to the different sectors. So as far as the diversification will be done on the part of the bank, then there will be the less possibility of loss. Okay, so the bank should diversify its funds in the different sectors. Okay, or in the different sectors. The next one is there the principle of flexibility. Principle of flexibility suggests that the commercial banks is commercial banks investment policy should be elastic or flexible in accordance to the need of the hour or the changing business climate. Okay, so for example, if there is an inflationary business climate, Then in the inflationary business climate, the credit creation of the commercial bank should be reduced. So what is that? This is the principle of flexibility. Similarly, the principle of productivity. What this principle says? This principle says that the bank should invest its surplus funds in such a way so as to secure for itself an accurate and permanent income. The objective of the bank is to earn the maximum profit, and its income must accrue from the productive investment. This principle implies that under no situation the bank should advance funds for the speculative purposes. It means the bank should provide the fund for the productive activities. Okay, so with these principles, our chapter of the commercial bank is completed. Okay, in the next video lecture, we are going to deal with the next aspect of the of our syllabus, that is the non-performing assets or NPA. Okay, so if you have any problem or if you have any query, you can directly contact to me. Okay, thank you.